It's been a hell of a week for Boston sports and their trades and the effects of their trades. Because not only did the Red Sox trade Rafi Devers to the Giants this weekend, but yesterday, one of the recent trade departures from Boston, Brad Marchand, won his second Stanley Cup and was looking pretty damn good doing it. Yep, the Panthers did it for the second year in a row. Brad Marchand probably finished second in the Conn Smythe voting, if I had to guess. He was electric in the final. He had 6 goals in the Stanley Cup final, he was the first guy to do that since Esa Tikkanen did it against the Bruins in 1990. And then all it took was a Sam Reinhart 4-goal game in Game 6 to surpass that and be the first one to 7 in the Stanley Cup final since Wayne Gretzky back in 1985. But you see Brad Marchand, 14 years apart, Stanley Cup champion. One is a second-year guy in the league. The next is a 37-year-old. The family looked much bigger. It wasn't just his sisters and his parents in the stands like in Vancouver. He had his wife out there, stepson, couple of daughters as well. It was really like a touching moment for me to watch last night. Like I hate the Panthers. I root for Marchand. I wish he didn't have to do it with them, but like for all the shit he went through in between Stanley Cups, and I'm talking about, crucial losses. You see the 2019 one right there. 2013, they lose in the final. Some of the drama that happened at the end, some of the things that I get bugged about with how the Bruins run their organization. It is really nice to see them, to see Marchand lift the cup again and to see him be so valued at a place. It was pretty cool. But what I also saw after the game was a bunch of social media stuff. I think Chicklets was the first one. It was like these pictures of Marchand with the cup as a Panther. And it said, tag a Bruins fan to ruin their day. Or like, take that, Don Sweeney. And I had 2 prevailing thoughts out of this. First off, it's like, you're not going to ruin our day. All right? The Bruins already do that. Like you know what I mean? They didn't. It's not like Brad Marchand beat the Bruins in the conference final and got to the Stanley Cup final and won. Like that doesn't do it. And it's not like Brad Marchand left in free agency. Okay, he was traded. He wanted to go to the Panthers, it seems like. But honestly, who wouldn't? Like seriously, who wouldn't? It's not Montreal. It's not Toronto. It's not even Philadelphia, man. I know we hate the Panthers now, but they're the best organization in the National Hockey League right now, and he knew his play could fit right in. I don't even bash him for that. The other part of this, like, you're not going to piss me off because of this, because the Bruins already pissed me off, all right? I'm just as pissed off as 31 other teams that the Panthers won the Stanley Cup. No more, no less. The other part of this is that still, even after seeing Brad Marchand do this and win the cup again, and how it might just sting a little bit, especially with how good he was in the final, I don't think Don Sweeney made a bad move by trading him. Do I think the return could have been better? Yes. I said that at the time. It makes even more sense now with how valuable he was in the postseason. But in a vacuum, the Bruins trading Brad Marchand where they were in this season was not the wrong move. It wasn't. They weren't going anywhere. And no team with Brad Marchand as their second best forward this year was going to sniff anywhere near a Stanley Cup. He goes to Florida. He's about their 6th best forward. Super valuable in the postseason for sure, because he had a much different role on this team than he would have had with the Bruins. Do I want to see these Bruins legends retire with the team and only play for? Of course, all things being equal. But again, I ask, where did that get you with David Krejci and Patrice Bergeron? Where did it get you? It got you to the point where 2 years later, you sucked so bad and you managed your assets so poorly that you had to trade Brad Marchand. You had to. He was your best trade chip. It got you nowhere to keep those guys in uniform and have them retire as Bruins and only playing for the Bruins. Look at the Celtics, man. You don't think Paul Pierce should have retired as a Celtic? Of course he should have. But look what happened. They reset their entire franchise after that trade. I don't think the Bruins could do that with this one haul they got back, but they got a first-round pick out of it. There's so much we can blame Don Sweeney for, including how poorly he managed his assets that it got to this point. But the trade of Brad Marchand in a vacuum is not a bad thing that the Bruins did. And I hate that so many Bruins fans are putting revisionist history on this and saying that it is. Like, I get it. He was great in this Stanley Cup playoff. Was he going to be that for you? Did that trade to the Panthers make the Panthers better than you? Shit, no. They were already way better than you. So to me, it doesn't do much in that sense. Instead, what I think Bruins fans should be doing, and I think largely are doing, is just being happy for Brad Marchand, man. Like, it sucks that it was the Panthers because we don't like the Panthers. But we love Brad Marchand. In 14 years after his first one, he gets that second Stanley Cup. And you look at the guys, these other legends that he played with in Boston. You look at Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci and Tuukka Rask and Zdeno Chara. And you know what I say about all of those? They deserved another Stanley Cup. Deserved is not in the dictionary for hockey, okay? Nothing is deserved. Or really all of pro sports. But if you look at the careers of those guys, you would think, yeah, they probably should have had more than one Stanley Cup. Some things were the organization's fault. Some things broke against them. Sometimes they choked. But they deserved probably winning more than one Stanley Cup when you look at the breadth of their career. Brad Marchand got that. It took leaving Boston to get there. But he got that. We should be happy for him for that. And he is a Hall of Famer. He was a Hall of Famer a couple of years ago, and now the whole hockey world is on board. Brad Marchand is a Hall of Famer. Had a video about it a couple months ago. People were telling me I was crazy in the comments. But you look at it now and add 2 Stanley Cups next to his resume, he's going to get 1,000 points. He's played in 1,000 games. He's got, he's the Bruins' all-time leader, 100-year-old franchise leader in shorthanded goals. And you look at his similarity scores, he's right up there with some of the best to ever play it. Brad Marchand's a Hall of Famer, and we should be happy for him that he had this moment. He didn't shit-talk the Bruins, although I'm sure he might take a shot at some point. Maybe he deserves that. But he's handled this thing with class. He really has. There is still a chance he comes back next year. I really, really doubt it. I'd put it at a 1% chance that he comes back to the Bruins next year. But the guy deserved to win another Stanley Cup. And he went out there and did it. I don't know why Bruins fans would be angry. And I don't think Don Sweeney's losing any sleep over this. Because I don't think he loses any sleep over any bad decision he makes. But of a line of bad decisions you can list for Don Sweeney as general manager of the Bruins, trading Brad Marchand isn't anywhere near the top. It's not. They had to do it. Should he got a better return? Yeah, I think so. Said it on March 7th. I'll say it on June 18th. Probably should have gotten a better return. I didn't like seeing anybody else on the Panthers hoist the Stanley Cup, but I was sure happy to see Brad Marchand do it. It's a reward, and I'm sure there were times throughout these 14 years, specifically the last 2 years, where he thought, I might never get back to that. Right? And, he did it in his first full year in the league in 2011. And Tyler Seguin was a rookie that year too. And I'm sure he's thought the same thing ever since. Man, I just thought that's what happened. We just won the Stanley Cup. And it's much, much different to win it as a 23-year-old versus as a 37-year-old. So I'm really happy for Brad Marchand. Remains to be seen if he brings the cup back to Boston for his day. I think there will be a lot of people happy with that. Some people will think it's trolling. But I'm happy to see Brad Marchand win the Stanley Cup. Bruins fans, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Were you happy for Brad Marchand? Were you mad at Don Sweeney? Were you both? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, because we are coming at you live at high noon Eastern time every weekday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast, talking Boston sports. Check out the other videos on the channel, talking all kinds of Bruins talk. We'll have some NHL draft preview next week and what the Bruins should do. Should they trade that pick? Who should they pick with number 7? We'll talk about all of that next week. And we will, of course, see you tomorrow on a little ditty that we like to call The Cam Show.